Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. Tonight, it is the CONCACAF Champions Cup Round 1 first leg review with the clubs involved from Liga MX and, of course, the lone MLS club involved as well, San Diego FC. Chat room is open. Come on in and discuss amongst yourselves if you like. If you have a question for me, I'll try to answer the best of my ability. And, of course, you can read my articles and all my information over at Beyond the 90, at beyondthe90.substack.com, and locally on the New York Rebels and New York City Soccer over at baddogsports.com. And when you do come on into the chat room, please don't forget when you're on YouTube to subscribe to this show for your daily American soccer content. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is a brand new edition of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And while we get ready for this tournament to go ahead and give us some exciting matches, whether you are an MLS supporter, Liga MX supporter, Canadian clubs in the Canadian Premier League, as well as MLS with Vancouver Whitecaps. And of course, if you are a supporter of a club in the Central American zone or in the Caribbean zone, this is going to be exciting once again. A full list of big-name clubs ready to go, ready to be involved, and ready for us to just get ready to have some fun. And, once again, it is a wonderful thing to see to have these clubs battling each other for this tournament. Now, I want to talk about something that I don't think we've ever talked about here on the Voice Inspired American Soccer Show. If I have, it's probably been mostly a blurb here and there. And that is this. When Major League Soccer made the move to switch their competition schedule to the international calendar, where most of these leagues, whether it's in Europe, Africa, Asia, South America, Mexico, everywhere else, to adhere to your national calendar is a big move. And what does that mean for clubs in Major League Soccer? Well, I'll tell you what it means. This season and the start of 2027, which will be a short season for MLS, going from February through May, which includes the playoffs, and you have the summer break now, and then you're going to start somewhere around end of July, beginning of August. What does this mean for MLS clubs? And at the same time, what does that mean for fans of the American game? Well, I'll tell you what that means. It means that you will have a competition calendar that will make much more sense. And what does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. It means that, number one, we don't have to worry anymore about these matches causing MLS clubs to start off without any matches before it. Because as you know, this will be the last time, and probably a little bit into the start of the 2027 season, these will be the last moments where the first round of the CONCACAF Champions Cup will not interfere with MLS clubs in preseason training camp action. Now we don't have to worry about that. No, we don't. Because now it will start to make sense. Now, I don't know if CONCACAF will reintroduce group stages for this. It would be interesting if they did, but I have a funny feeling that's going to remain all goal aggregate knockout with the one single championship match, and away goals will mean everything and anything from the first round all the way through to the semifinals. And as you can see, we're finally going to have these games mean something now. And yes, we're always going to play against these clubs, either from the Canadian Premier League to clubs in the Central American countries, the Caribbean countries, whether it be Dominican Republic or Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, and such and such and so and so. The truth is that we're going to get everything uniformed from start to finish. So for me, this is going to make more sense than we ever thought it would be. It would make more sense to have MLS changing to the international calendar where it will all be even keel, just like what goes on in Europe, just what goes on in South America, everywhere else across the 6 confederation continents or regions of the world for football. It will all make sense. And I think that's all we want. We want it all to make sense. And as we continue on here, this is all we want. We want to be on the same page as everyone else. And even though next year it will be the same thing, it will be the very, very last time, now we don't have to worry about our clubs in MLS, American or Canadian, if they start in the first round. We don't have to worry about them being sort of in shape here, out of shape there. You know, how many minutes can the starters go? How many times you have to sub in substitutes from the bench? Everything will fit. Everything will make sense. Everything will be exactly how they do it with the Champions League and the Copa Libertadores and so on and so on and so on. And for me, personally, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great idea. And I understand we're still going to have a winter break. But now, with this winter break, now officially aligning itself between seasons with the clubs from Liga MX, now it's on some form of even ground. We're not all the way even ground because the truth of the matter is this. The truth is that we're still going to have issues with these restrictions with the roster rules and not just the salary cap, but the demonstrative single entity situation with MLS. Because we're going to have clubs from Mexico who do it better. They will be better, and they'll always win these championship finals. That's not just saying this because I want to appease the Liga MX crowd. I'm stating truth. I'm stating fact. Because even though on the international stage we've done some great things against Mexico, and we've had MLS club. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves here. We've had our clubs in MLS. They have had their moments winning against Liga MX clubs deep into the tournaments. But when you get to that championship final, like what Columbus tried to do and couldn't do it, like what Vancouver Whitecaps tried to do and couldn't do it, you know what happened? They failed because they got blitzed. They got blitzed badly. So until MLS does fix their issues when it comes to the salary cap and when it comes to the single entity situation, the truth is this, is that Liga MX clubs will always win the Champions Cup in the final no matter what. I'm not saying I'm rooting for that. All I'm doing is giving you facts and the truth of what goes on out there when it comes to this international club tournament. Do I want to see another MLS club win it? Yes. It's been a while since the Seattle Sounders did defeat Pumas when it was a two-leg series for the final of the CONCACAF Champions League. Now it's a cup, and now it's a single match final. But the positive is this. For MLS to move to the international calendar helps them improve their chances in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And maybe, just maybe, they have an opportunity to finally get not just once out of a blue moon, 2 in a row, 3 in a row, maybe even 4 in a row, to knock off a Liga MX club and hoist a CONCACAF championship title over their heads, either at a stadium in Mexico or at their home stadium in the U.S. But until that does happen, and right now, everything is off the table at this point in time because we don't know what's going to happen with the clubs from MLS. But for now, the future is now brighter than where we were these last several years. Without a doubt, without a single doubt, this is a better position once we get to the 2027-28 season. And on the back end of that calendar, we will have clarity and a better position for MLS clubs to win the trophy. But also, let's also not forget, we won't have to worry about Open Cup rounds interfering at the same time with Champions Cup matches on the same weeks ever again. And that's where CONCACAF has to be better. This is where U.S. soccer has to be better. And this is where MLS has to be better at the same time. Not just what's going on the field, but what's going on off the pitch when it comes to their front office situation when they make their schedule. Because now it's going to be a different kettle of fish when 2027 rolls in. Short season first, real season next, and everything will make sense moving forward. I cannot wait. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I know it will improve the football in our country, our soccer in our country, 10 million times over. Ladies and gentlemen, got a great show for you tonight. Joining me right now, my first guest. He is part of the San Diego Futbol site covering San Diego FC. Tony Sanchez joining me right now for his first ever interview on the 4 Year Scenes Fire American Soccer Show. Tony, welcome to the show. How are you, sir? And you got to say, that was a hell of a match on Tuesday night at Snapdragon.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. And it was an important match, historic match as well for San Diego FC. The first time that they are in CONCACAF Champions Cup action, and it was against a team that came in hot. They were undefeated in their domestic league, coming in 4 games earlier. San Diego FC was recalled earlier from their vacation/holiday than was what they thought was the original date. And they still managed to go up and beat Pumas 4-1.
It was really amazing. And, I have to admit, not to say, I know it's only right now your second season in the league, obviously, and you had a great season last year. Fell short a little bit in the semifinal, should I say the Western Conference final against Vancouver. But still, the future does look bright for this club, especially with your head coach running it. And, I'll say Dreyer has been nothing short but miraculous right now.
Yeah, this diamond in the rough that was found in Europe by sporting director Tyler Heaps, and a good piece of business, too, for that first year. Very cheap compared to the other DP on the other side with Chucky Lozano. But Honors Dreyer definitely coming in and like a fish to water in the Right to Dream system, and really doing everything that was asked of him, and really was able to excel in that position and push this team forward to be, what is considered to be in the modern times the greatest expansion team from what is being said from here on out. They didn't win the championship the first year, but still an impressive season, nonetheless.
And I will say this though, Pumas is not a joke. They are one of the top clubs in Liga MX down in Mexico, obviously along with Club America, Guadalajara, Chivas, Cruz Azul, Monterrey, even Santos Laguna, though they've kind of slipped up a little bit here and there in recent years. But still, though, Pumas is one of those top clubs in Mexican soccer history, obviously. But, did you feel the game plan was perfect the way you did take on Pumas?
Well, head coach Mikey Varas came in with a different attack style. We've seen this right to dream style really focus on total football in a sense, keeping the ball on the ground, passing, a lot of possession. And they still have that. But the way that they were attacking seemed a little bit more aerial, using the wings and going in and creating chaos in the box. And they didn't let up from that. Pumas came in and they had their game plan of going up early in the match and then retreating back. This is what made them successful against Tigres in their second game of the season. And for San Diego FC, they just kept that same game style this entire time. And eventually that's exactly how the goals came in. Mano Dua breaking in and tying the game off a corner. And then subsequently 18 minutes and then ended up being 4 goals. And most of them coming in from crosses and chaos being created inside the box, and some of the newest people, not to say newest, but just youngest players. Luca Bombino also getting on the score sheet. David Vasquez getting his first goal. Alex Maiton, a English player who's coming in and didn't have the best first season, but he's also represented in there. But it was a good style that maybe fits them a little bit better, or is the evolution of the right to dream style and San Diego FC style that we saw from last season.
Now I have to ask you this though. That little skirmish, it didn't look little to me, obviously, between Anibal Godoy and Alan Medina. I mean, by the near side touchline, they're just bumping each other. They're just not letting up. They're not giving up a single inch against each other on the throw in. And I mean, I thought they're going to have hands thrown over there, maybe, I don't know, handbags and 5 paces. And even though both, yes, it was a yellow card, I like to think Godoy planned that a little bit to get his team going before the 4-goal barrage began in the 69th minute.
Yeah, I mean, Godoy is one of the best veterans on this club with the experience, not just in MLS, but CONCACAF experience. A lot of these players are coming over from Denmark, from Europe, and just have never had the experience of what it means to face a CONCACAF team. We saw them match up against Mexican teams last year in Leagues Cup, and they didn't fare so well because CONCACAF does go by a different pace, a different tone, a different way of refereeing, a different way of letting things slide, a little bit more potentially dark arts-ish and appealing to referees, and it's just going in and embellishing some injuries. It's just the nature of it. And that's something why Liga MX is fun to some, not so fun to others. But this is the adaptation for Anibal Godoy to come in and also see that moment and be able to rile up the troops in a sense and stand up for the young kids. Because again, look at that score sheet. Like, there's not a lot of age in that score sheet. Mano Dua just came out of UC Santa Barbara last year, #1 overall draft pick. To Luca Bombino, again, same thing. He's just these are kids, and they are able to play at a very high level, led by a couple of veterans strategically placed throughout there.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Mikey Varas coming over from the U.S. men's national team coaching staff before Mauricio Pochettino takes over from Greg Berhalter, and he takes the job here at San Diego for right now a season and 1 match. We can only call it 1 match this year at this point in time. What have you liked about Varas as a head coach? And at the same time, what do you think maybe he can improve? He can be a little bit better than what we've seen so far.
Yeah, well, the thing is that up until now, everything that San Diego FC has done, you can almost not question, even going back to the decision to let go of Milan Iloski, to let go of now going into the season of Chucky Lozano. Everything seems to be done with intention, and it's worked out for them. And that's something that for the most part is something you don't see a lot, where this team is very stubborn and sticking to their guns. And there's a style of play that is definitely marked and embedded into these players. And so I think just to follow through with that, and that's what we were told from the beginning, that this team was going to go ahead and stick to that philosophy of playing and not waver, whether they're winning or they're losing. And that's exactly what we've seen. And it's an exciting style of play. Now, for Mikey Varas, where does Mikey Varas' style, his own style, start and finish when it comes to that right to dream style? And so now I'm just trying to see what the layers are going to be in terms of that. There were moments where last year he was outcoached, because again, all things considered, he does come from impressive pedigree of U.S. Soccer here in that coaching aspect, but he had never coached adults. That was a fact. He had coached adults, but that just as an interim in the U.S. men's national team, but he had never coached adults to play soccer. He comes in, and this season, that's one of the biggest questions. He's able to go ahead and take it forward further than, potentially a lot of people saw. And some people look at that finish to coach of the year and look at that distant third place and say, well, might have been a little closer than that. Not taking away anything from the other top two candidates as well, but Mikey Varas for sure has been able to come in and not be smoke and mirrors. And even when he talks to us, the press, in post match, when we had a chance to talk to him during media availability during the week, he's very honest and transparent, and that's something that you don't really see in sports. And sometimes that's to a detriment as well. A little bit too honest, give a little bit too much insight, but that's just who they are. Him and Tyler Heaps are definitely of a new class, a new generation of officials in the front office. So it's refreshing to be able to see his style develop, and hopefully it keeps developing. Like I said, one season and one game. We'll see what game two, maybe 50% of the season this season isn't as good.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see what happens there. Now, as you know, goal aggregate is part of this situation. Away goals is also huge in CONCACAF Champions Cup and any CONCACAF tournament as well internationally, whether it be club teams or national teams. Right now, Pumas does have that away goal against San Diego FC. You're going to be heading down to Mexico. I believe it's the Universitario. I could be wrong for the Pumas' home stadium, but you have a 3-goal lead right now. San Diego FC has that lead right now for 3 goals. I think you know as well as I do, to nullify that away goal, San Diego FC is going to have to score not just one to kill that advantage off. They need to score 2 to gain that advantage on the road. And not only if you do score 2 and gain that advantage, anything that Puma scores, it's going to be at least, was it right now, a 3-goal advantage right now? If you can kill off the away goals rule by getting 1 down there, then they're going to have to score 4 to at least force extra time. Then you get that second one, they're going to need 5 or 6 to take the tie and the whole series. So what do you think San Diego's going to have to do to make sure they take that advantage? Because obviously I think you know as well as I do, you go down there, bunkering the entire 90 minutes will not save them. They're going to have to play football.
And that's what San Diego has done. They've been taking it and playing football. They do not park the bus. They play their style, and they want that ball. They want that possession. That this does still open them up for quick counterattacks and can potentially really be a watershed moment for them and allow a lot more goals on the back end of this match. But historically, at least for this last season, San Diego FC has been a very sound team on the road. They were actually a better team on the road last season than at home. And so with that, I think that experience is something that they can go ahead and move forward and just kind of go ahead and continue on that path with that momentum of knowing that they are a good away team, but also knowing that they want to go ahead and impose their play style. And that's something that they've been able to do very well. That midfield led by Yepes Verskov, the talent that just comes from that player and just commanding and controlling the tempo, the times of the entire match is something to look for. And so if they're able to go ahead and just continue with that tenor, they're going to go ahead and score at least 1 or 2 down there. But even if they don't, they're not going to go ahead and be sitting back and always defending. If there's 1 goal immediately from Pumas, I don't see this being a moment where they're going to recoil and just throw everybody back. They're going to continue maintain that attacking mindedness, and whether that is their detriment, they'll be okay with that. If they go down to Pumas and they get eliminated because Pumas had just a cavalcade of goals coming in and you weren't able to score, it's still a good showing for San Diego FC and their play style, especially knowing the context of how much time they actually had to come back into the season without prior notification and to be able to prepare for this team. That's what Mike Ivada told us in the post-match. He had a message when he came in before any question. He said, look, these players just came back from holiday. We told them to come back at least 2 to 3 weeks earlier than they should have to get some legs under them, and they were still able to go in and take it to one of the best teams in the league currently in Liga MX.
Absolutely. If I can throw this at you, obviously it's very disappointing that Chucky Lozano acted the way he did at the club. And look, I don't blame San Diego FC for sending him away. Obviously, I think he's ruined his chances for the Mexican national team, unless someone in Liga MX does give him a job. We'll find out, obviously, because I thought maybe he'll be on the men's national team for the World Cup. But for now, I haven't heard anything about him being on a new club, whether it be in MLS or in Liga MX. But did you feel maybe his experience playing in Mexico could have really helped San Diego FC be? I'm not saying they weren't terrible. No, San Diego played great in the first leg, but to have that extra insight and inside information from Lozano, that could have really benefited San Diego a little bit better than probably you thought they were going to get in that first leg.
Well, if you ask anybody that's not named Tyler Heaps or Mikey Varas, they would agree that a team with Chucky Lozano is better regardless of what's going on behind the scenes or not. Just having that element to be able to go ahead and go down to the well and just say, hey, I got a Chucky Lozano up my sleeve. We're going to go ahead and deploy him whenever we need something special from him. But the club just sees no value in that, right? They looked at his numbers, they looked at his contributions, they looked at his minutes played, and they said, we can go ahead and find this exact thing for much cheaper, either elsewhere. They found it in Amal Pellegrino, who was sitting in the basement over in San Jose and came back and had a great close to the season. Now they can look into their international academy, Right to Dream, and see the new blood that's coming through there, and then get the talent from there and get those numbers at a much, much lower price. So I think from a just tactical standpoint, sure, like you have a Chucky Lozano you can go ahead and deploy out there any given moment. That is a plus, especially against Mexican teams who may need to face a fiery player, who need to go ahead and face a physical player who's not going to back down. But for San Diego FC, they just look at the overall. Like that's something that was made very clear, that Lozano just was not fitting in a, quote, holistic way. So top to bottom, from inside the pitch to outside the pitch, it was going to be a net negative to have him even in the club. So if you're San Diego FC and Mikey Varas, then you look at this and say, no, we don't need him. And that's been the message ever since. We don't need him. We're going to talk about the players that we have here. The instruction for players in the times that we've interacted with them in post matches and whatnot. Instructions are, hey, don't ask me about Chucky because they've already moved on. And then you can look at it as a results wise, look at the numbers, look at the stats. Ever since Chucky was benched in Houston, it hasn't been that bad. It really hasn't been that bad at all.
No, it really hasn't. And, good for San Diego for recognizing what they needed to do to make sure everything was copacetic and everything was basically calming the waters, so to speak. And because you can't have that type of attitude in the club like that and ruin it for everyone else. You're just going to have to find a way to fix it. And if you can't fix it, then you got to cut the cancer out.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And moving forward, is Chucky Lozano going to find a new club, or is he going to just cash in $7.6 million a year and enjoy the beauty of San Diego and not to show off, but the 83-degree weather we had today? Like it's something that for sure, if he's made his peace with not going to the World Cup, I think he's made his peace with not being in San Diego FC as well.
Okay, listen here, rookie. All right, we don't play the weather game on this show. All right, I can't have you do this to me and to my other listeners and watchers out there. Okay, only I can play this game. No, I'm joking around. Anyway, but yeah, no, San Diego. I've seen pictures. It's a beautiful area. I really got to get over to San Diego. I haven't been over there at all. I want to get a chance. Absolutely. Comic-Con is there. I'm a big guy of sci-fi and all that. So, but no, definitely also for soccer and football as well. So it should be a lot of fun. But anyway, Tony, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. Hope to have you on again next week for the second leg review. And then we'll see which opponent in the round of 16 you guys will face against if you do defeat Pumas down in Mexico. Thanks again, and hope to catch you again soon.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Tony Sanchez from San Diego Futbol. You can go online, go to their Twitter account, and also other accounts as well on social media for all of their great coverage of San Diego FC. So there you have it, folks. And just to keep on going with tonight's show, of course, the other clubs at the moment couldn't get anyone currently to cover the other clubs in Liga MX, but we'll hopefully get that for the second leg show to review, because I also want to give them the added time like I do for MLS, especially in this tournament going forward. But of course, let's not worry about that. Let's go ahead and talk about the next matchup, and that was Club Olimpia of Honduras taking on Club America of Mexico in Liga MX. And, I thought Olimpia, they got their equalizer in the 50th minute from Jorge Alvarez before, of course, Victor Davila scored in first half stoppage time. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, look, America will get the away goal, but, Olimpia did enough just to do something right. Nope, unfortunately, Club America gets their second away goal of the match in the first leg from Ramon Juarez, and that made it 2-1 in favor of Club America away in the first leg. And right now, Club Olimpia is in trouble in the end of the first leg of this tournament. Of course, next week will be the second leg, and it's going to be interesting to watch what will happen there. We all know Olimpia, one of the top two clubs in Honduras, along with Motagua. So either one, doesn't matter who it is. It's going to be tough sledding from here as this continues on moving forward. Big match, though, it was a draw, a 1-goal draw in the CONCACAF Champions Cup between Club Yelahu and Monterrey. It looked like Yelahu was going to get the winner in the 83rd minute from Joffrey Escobar late in the match. But unfortunately, again, to second half stoppage time, depending on how much was added on in second half stoppage time, and it was Jesus Corona that got the equalizer, the away goal for Monterrey, and that ended in a 1-1 draw. And now back to the Estadio BBVA in Monterrey in Mexico, as they are going to go and attempt to make another trip, make another run, I should say, towards the CONCACAF Champions Cup championship final. So we'll see what they'll do there, Jelahu. But still, though, it's a situation where, once again, it has just been really, really difficult for some of these clubs in the Central American region. They're trying to get into the next round. Sometimes they're able to do it, sometimes they're not. But, you face a Liga MX side, it's going to be probably 10 times harder than what they are used to. And unfortunately, though, when you talk about that situation, you also talk about the Canadian Premier League, 3 clubs in the Canadian Premier League moving in. Of course, we talk about Vancouver FC from the Canadian Premier League, basically shot down, taken down, done and dusted already in the first leg. 3 away goals right now for Cruz Azul. Jose Paradela in the 22nd minute, Amore Morales in the 44th minute, and then a fantastic shot from Agustin I'm trying to say his name correctly here. It's my fault. Sorry. Agustin Palavecino. I think I screwed that up anyway, and I apologize about that. 3-0 for Cruz Azul. They have found ways to go out there and do the damage to, once again, a Canadian Premier League side like Vancouver FC. I mean, they are good, but, unfortunately, they just haven't had enough to go in there. And now you're going to go down to Mexico. Basically, 1 goal is just going to probably put them away. They'll probably score more than a goal, But once again, it's just a situation where, I think Vancouver FC is going to be done and dusted. But one club in the Canadian Premier League has really showed great initiative. And even though it was a scoreless draw, Hamilton Forge finding a 0-0 draw against Tigres at home at the Tim Hortons Stadium is unbelievable. Just a single yellow card for Ishmael Okitokun in the 48th minute and nothing else. Now, obviously, going down to Mexico will be trying, but one thing is for sure, if they can get at least one or two away goals, they may try to have an upset there. It may be an upset. And, we'll see what Hamilton Forge can do. Look, they're a well-managed club in the Canadian Premier League. We all know what they can do. We all know what they have done in the Canadian Premier League. So, this is their opportunity right now. Now, once again, it will be down at the Universitario for Tigres. Hamilton Forge is really going to have to find a way, not only just to play top-notch defense, but to somehow squeeze a goal into the back of the net and force an upset. It's going to be a very difficult challenge. It was always a difficult challenge against Tigres for Hamilton Forge. But right now, at this point right now, Hamilton Forge, even though it's a slim opportunity, it's an opportunity no matter what. They are going to go out there and they're going to find a way to put themselves in a position to try and attempt to make an upset. I really believe this is their opportunity. This is their time. This is what they need to do to go out there and to put on a show like no one has ever seen them do it before. This is really their chance. Without a doubt, this is their chance. But we won't know until the following week, which will be the second leg this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for these clubs in Liga MX, for San Diego FC, for the clubs in Central America. They are going to have this opportunity now, including the Canadian Premier League. This is their opportunity to make something of themselves. This is their opportunity to put themselves in a position that no one ever thought they could be in. Because I'll be honest with you, as good as Hamilton Forge is in the Canadian Premier League, obviously it's a trying moment for them in International Cup competition, International Club Cup competition. So until that does happen, that they can find a way to slay a dragon, they have to take this opportunity, not so much with a grain of salt, but to really be on the front foot and put themselves in a position where they must find a way to make history happen, not just for Hamilton, but for Canadian soccer as a whole. They have to. They're going to have to try and find a way, because right now, this is a big opportunity for them. You're going down to Mexico, and you're going down there to make the attempt to get a victory against one of the top clubs in all of Mexico, in Tigres, UANL. Gotta try and do it. I know they want to do it. We'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll get more for you for next week and everything else going forward. Now, don't forget, this coming Monday on the 4 Year Scenes Fire American Soccer Show, I will have on Gary Redmond from the New York Red Bulls Discussion Group podcast, as well as writing for AJM Sports FC, and James Burley for Metro Soccer Report, as they will join me this coming Monday night to talk about the Michael Bradley era of the New York Red Bulls. And that should be exciting. Excuse me, I forget now, they are now Red Bull New York. just like Red Bull Salzburg, Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull Bragantino. They are now officially Red Bull New York. But I want to thank my guest tonight, Tony Sanchez from San Diego Futbol, joining me to talk about that first leg matchup between San Diego FC and Pumas Unam. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Quick show, I know, but hopefully we'll get a little more guests for you in the following week. Once again, my name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. And as always, please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care so long, and have a good night, and bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.